Good morning to everyone. Please wait few more minutes because the network issue, the presenter unable to join. Please wait few minutes. Thank you very much. அப்படியா என்னங்கண்ணா குட் மார்னிங். சத்தம் இல்லையா? நான் குட் மார்னிங் சொன்னது கூட குட் மார்னிங் சொன்னது வந்து இல்லையா? ஓகே ஓகே ஓகே. யாரு 2 பேர் வந்து மீட்டிங் கை ரெஜிஸ்டர் பண்ணியிருக்காங்க. சார் என்ன நேம்ல ஜாயின் பண்றீங்க சார்? என்ன நேம்ல ஜாயின் பண்ண போறீங்க சார்? ஹலோ சார். சார் கேக்குதுங்களா சார்? ஹலோ சார். சார் கேக்குதாங்க சார்? ஹலோ சார். இன்னும் ஜாயின் பண்ணாமே இருக்கார் சார். சார் என்ன நேம்ல ஜாயின் பண்றீங்க சார்? எஸ் சார். ஆனந்த் ஏஎன். அப்படியாங்க சார். சார் அப்படியே கொஞ்சம் ஹேண்ட் ரைஸ் பண்ணுங்க சார். அதில் நான் உடனே ப்ரெசென்டர் ஆக்கிடுறேங்க சார். அதில் ரைட் சைடில் ரைஸ் ஹேண்டுன்னு ஒன்று இருக்குங்க சார். அந்த சாட் மாதிரி நம்ம அந்த பார்ட்டிசிபெண்ட்ல வரும் இல்லைங்க சார், அதில் கிளிக் பண்ணிங்கன்னா ரைஸ் ஹேண்டுன்னு வருங்க சார். ஆமாம் ஆமாங்க சார். அதில் கிளிக் பண்ணுங்க சார். ஆனந்த் எம் எஸ் ஆனந்துக்குள்ளே போயிருக்குமாங்க சார்? இருங்க சார், ஒரு நிமிஷம் சார். எஸ் எஸ் கார்த்திக் கணேஷ் வருது சாரோட நேம் சார். இல்லை பரவாயில்லைங்க சார். இல்லைங்க சார், நீங்கள் அப்படியே இருக்கட்டும் சார். நான் சும்மா நீங்கள் ரைஸ் மட்டும் இந்த ரைட் சைடில் போனோம்னா சார், இந்த எப்படி சொல்கிறதுங்க சார், இந்த இது மாதிரி இருக்குது பீப்புள் இருக்கு இல்லைங்க சார், அதில் போனீங்கன்னா அதில் வந்து ரைட் சைடில் கிளிக் பண்ணிங்கன்னா 3 டாட் வருங்க சார். அதை கிளிக் பண்ணிங்கன்னா அதில் ஹேண்ட் ரைஸ் அப்படின்னு வருங்க சார். ஆனந்த் எஸ் சார். உங்கள் சாரோட மெயில் ஐடி தானேங்க சார் இது? அவ்வளோதாங்க சார். சரி சார். ஆனந்த் எஸ் ஆனந்த் எஸ் எஸ் சார். எஸ் சார். உங்களோட காமிக்கலையாங்க சார்? இல்லைனா ஒரு ஹலோன்னு கொடுங்க சார். சார் நீங்கள் வந்து ஹலோ ராஜ்மோகன் மட்டும் கொடுங்க சார். நான் அப்படியே சும்மா உங்களோட அப்படி உள்ளே போயிட்டு ஒன்றும் ப்ராப்ளம் இல்லைங்க சார், பண்ணிக்கலாம். எஸ் சார். ஆமாங்க சார், ஆமாங்க சார். இங்கே வரலைங்க சார் இதில். இப்போ வந்து ஆனந்த் எஸ் வந்துருச்சுங்க சார். வந்துருச்சுங்க சார், வந்துருச்சுங்க சார். வந்துருச்சுங்க சார். Good morning to everyone. Sorry for the delay. There was some network issue. So, on behalf of National Safety Council, Directorate of Industrial Safety and Health and the National Safety Council Tamil Nadu chapter, I would like to warm welcome our Additional Director, Thiru S. Ananth. So, before going to the program, let's start with our Tamil Thai Valtu prayer song. Just a moment, I will share the screen first.
கடலுடுத்த நிலமடந்தை கெழிலொழுகும் சீராரும் மதனமென திகழ்வரத கண்டமிதில் தெக்கணமும் அதில் சிறந்த திராவிடனல் திருநாடும் தக்க சிறு திரை முதலும் தரித்தனரும் திலகமுமே திலக வாசனை போல் அனைத்துலகும் இன்பமுற எத்திசையும் புகழ் மணக்க இருந்த பெரும் தமிழனங்கே தமிழனங்கே உன் சீரிழமை திறம் வியந்து செயல் மறந்து வாழ்த்துதுமே வாழ்த்துதுமே வாழ்த்துதுமே.
So, today the topic is accident contribution factors in industries. So, first, before going to the program, I would like to introduce our chief guest, Ananth sir. Ananth sir, no, he is the additional director of Industrial Safety and Health from Coimbatore, Government of Tamil Nadu. He completed BE in Mechanical Engineering from Alagappa Chettiar College, Government College of Engineering and Technology, Karaikudi in 1989. So he post-graduated from National Institute of Technology, NIT, previously REC, Trichy, in Manufacturing Technology in 1990. He having industrial experience working at Ashok Leyland, Chennai for 4 years. He joined Tamil Nadu Government Service as Inspector of Factories in 1995 and currently working as an Additional Director of Industrial Safety and Health at Coimbatore. And he having a fellow of Institution of Engineers India, that is IEI, and he is an executive committee member of National Safety Council Tamil Nadu chapter. Not only executive committee member, he conducting all the program whenever Tamil National Safety Council conducting. He is the first person conducting all the legal requirements to the members in Tamil Nadu, and he is an chairman Coimbatore Action Center of National Safety Council Coimbatore chapter, and the former chairman of Board of Governors of Alagappa Chettiar Government College of Engineering and Technology, Karaikudi, and he is in General Secretary of Tamil Nadu Directorate of Industrial Safety and Health Officers Association, and former president of Tamil Nadu Engineers Federation, and chairman of Indian Engineers Federation, and he is the coordinator for online portal Ease of Doing Business. Everyone aware for Dish portal. Sir is the only prepared the entire online portal and supported for the industries, and he is the conducted many safety programs to Madras Chamber of Commerce. So with this introduction, I would like to call upon our Ananth sir to make the presentation for today webinar. Sir, welcome you, sir. Sir, now the mode changed to you. You can present, sir. Yes, sir. Everything perfect, sir. Sir, can you please unmute your audio, sir?
Yeah, yes.
Yes, sir. Please, sir.
Yes. Thank you, Rajmohan. So, good morning to all of you. So, it is my pleasure to be with all the safety professionals today. But it is not the first time that I am just meeting all of you in regular NSC programs. But this is the first time of this particular kind that we are meeting through the video conferencing mode. So, first, I would like to welcome you all on behalf of our Directorate of Industrial Safety and Health. So, National Safety Council and our Directorate of Industrial Safety and Health, we have collaborated a lot of safety programs, and we are periodically conducting at various places. But this is being a unique, so I also would like to invite the kind attention of all our members. And, please kindly pay your attention towards this program. So I will share some of the basic principles of accident prevention and what are the factors contributing to accidents. But at the same time, I will also just explain about some of the case studies which we have investigated during our course of PhD. So just before getting into our this one, just we will have a small introduction in the form of PowerPoint presentation. I will share one PowerPoint presentation. So this occupational safety and health is generally defined as science of anticipation, recognition, evaluation, and control of hazards arising in or from the workplace that could impair the health and well-being of workers. The scope of occupational safety and health has evolved gradually and continuously in response to social, political, technological, and economic changes. Thus, the occupational safety is a key area in which we all work together to see that there is no accident in the workplace and there is no occupational disease to the workers who are all employed there. So let us go to the legal aspects of the occupational safety and health, because before getting into our general accidents and the factors, just let us just have a broad outlook about the legal aspects. So the government is committed to regulate all economic activities within the country with a view to ensuring that every employee is provided with safe and healthy working conditions. Government of India has enacted many statutes relating to occupational safety and health at workplaces. So the Factories Act 1948, the Mines Act 1952, Dock Workers Safety, Health and Welfare Act 1986, the Building and Other Construction Workers Regulation of Employment and Conditions of Service Act 1999, Environment Protection Act 1986, the Electricity Act 2003, are the major enactments related to occupational safety and health in our country, and they are in force. So this Factories Act 1948 is one among the premier labor enactments in our country. It deals with safety, health and welfare of workers employed in the factories. Just to have a outlook about the contents of this Factories Act, it contains 11 chapters. So the number one is preliminary and inspecting staff, health, safety, provisions relating to hazardous process, welfare, working hours, annual leave with wages, special provisions, penalties and procedures, and supplemental. So these are all the 11 chapters that are present in the Factories Act 1948. So even though 11 chapters are there, we focus more on health and safety. So the safety is one of the area where now we have to focus. So if we get into the safety chapter, these are all the provisions. Fencing of machinery, work on or near machinery in motion, employment of young persons on dangerous machines, breaking gear and devices for cutting power, self-acting machines, casing of new machinery, prohibition of women and children near cotton openers, hoist and lift, lifting machines, chains, ropes and lifting tanks, revolving machinery, pressure plant, floors, stairs and means of access, pits, sumps, opening in floors, etc., excessive weight, protection of ice, precautions against dangerous fumes, gases, etc., precautions regarding portable electric light, explosive or inflammable dust gas, etc., precautions in case of fire, power to repair, specifications of defective parts, safety of buildings and machinery, maintenance of buildings, safety officers, power to make rules to supplement this chapter. These are all the provisions, that is sections available under chapter 4. Chapter 4 is very important, relates to safety, because where any worker is being affected during the course of his work. So one of the provisions of this safety chapter will be attracted. So then this is the special provision relating to hazardous process. Section 41A, Constitution of Site Appraisal Committees. Section 41B, compulsory disclosure of information by the occupier. Section 41C, specific responsibility of the occupier in relation to hazardous process. Section 41D, power of central government to appoint inquiry committee. 41E, emergency standards. Section 41F, permissible limits of exposure of chemical and toxic substances. 41G, workers' participation in safety management. 41H, right of workers to warn about imminent danger. Actually, this particular provision, chapter 4A, has been inserted in the Factories Act in the 1987 amendment, which was carried out in the Factories Act after the Bhopal incident. Because Bhopal incident, all of us know, that is one of the worst disaster. That is one of the disaster, but it is the worst industrial disaster of the century that happened in 1984 at Bhopal. So after that, our Factories Act was amended in 1987. So these provisions were included during the amendment in 1987. These penalties and procedures, all of us know. So that occupier and manager of the factory will be fined up to rupees 1 lakh or imprisonment up to 2 years. For accident causing death due to failure of safety, fine not less than 25,000 rupees. Similarly, for serious bodily injury due to failure of safety, fine not less than rupees 5,000. Because these two special provisions especially applicable to this failure of safety. That is, for the death, fine shall not be less than 25,000, and for serious bodily injury, fine should not be less than rupees 5,000. So similarly, enhanced penalties or penalty is also available in the Factories Act. That is, after previous conviction, fine not less than rupees 10,000 and up to 2 lakhs, or imprisonment up to 3 years. Because just to have more focus on the safety, I have given these penalties and procedures. Similarly, for this penalty under Section 96A, this is also one of the penal provision inserted after the Bhopal incident, that is during the 1987 amendment. So for the contravention of the provisions of Section 41B, 41C and 41H, that is, they are pertaining to compulsory disclosure of information by occupier, specific responsibility of occupier, so there is a imprisonment up to 7 years and fine up to 2 lakhs. And on continuation, fine at rupees 5,000 per day will also be imposed on the occupier or manager, whoever is guilty of that offense. But because here we have to be careful, because this is only for the factories which are coming under the purview of process industry. So this imprisonment of 10 years when the contravention continues up to 1 year. Because this most stringent penalization was added the 1987 amendment because of the Bhopal incident. So say, just to highlight the importance of safety and just basic uh, legal provisions related to our safety, just I have given you the just outlook. Now, this is a code, Occupational Safety, Health and Working Condition Code, 2020. The code has been enacted after amalgamation, simplification and rationalization of the relevant provisions of the 13 Central Labor Acts. See, you all are aware the government of India now they wanted to have umbrella legislations, and they wanted to repeal 29 acts, and instead of that one, 4 codes are already have been enacted. So now the rules have to be central rules also already they have published, and similarly the state rules have to be published, and then the date of implementation will be automatically notified by the government of India. So once that notification comes, the following 13 labor acts will not be there in force, and only the code will be there. So now this 13 Central Labor Acts, namely the Factories Act 1948, Mines Act 1952, the Dog Workers Safety, Health and Welfare Act 1986, the Building and Other Construction Workers Regulation of Employment and Conditions of Service Act 1996, and Plantations Labor Act 1951, Contract Labor Act 1970, Interstate Migrant Workmen Act 1979, the Working Journalist and Other Newspaper Employees Act 1955, the Working Journalist Act 1958, that is fixation of rates of wage. Previous one is the conditions of service. Then the Motor Transport Workers Act 1961, Sales Promotion Employees Conditions of Service Act 1976, the BD and Cigar Workers Act 1966, and the Cine Workers and Cinema Theatre Workers Act 1981. So these 13 acts will be subsumed by this code. So the code provides basic broad legislative framework with the enabling provisions for framing rules, regulations, standards and bylaws as per the requirements of different sectors, which resulted in the reduction of 622 sections to 143 sections in the code. So this has been compared. Totally every provisions of these 13 acts have been taken into account. So in a concise manner, they have all brought into the code. So once the code is implemented, so the above 13 acts will not be enforced. So this is the basic thing which I wanted to share you before getting into our this factors relating to acts. So code proposes one registration for an establishment. These are all the features instead of multiple registration. Presently, 6 labor acts out of 13 provide for separate registration of the establishment. Provision of one license and one return in place of multiple licenses and returns in existing 13 labor laws. From the dates of notification referred to in subsection 2 of subsection 1, section 1 of the code is issued, all these 13 acts being subsumed in the code. All of them will be repealed. So now let us come to the safety in industries. So all of us know hazard and risk. A hazard is a potential source of harm or adverse health effect on a person or person. A risk is the likelihood that a person may be harmed or suffers adverse health effects if exposed to a hazard. So, if, for example, if there is a spill of water in a room, then that water would present a slipping hazard to persons passing through it. If access to the area is prevented by a physical barrier, then the hazard would remain, but the risk would be minimized. So, just to know just to have an outlook, what is the hazard and what is the risk. So, we have to eliminate the hazard. So, whenever there is a hazard, definitely there is a potentially there is a threat, and the people may encounter an accident. So we cannot avoid accident. So the hazard we have to focus. Similarly, the risk we have to minimize the risk, or we have to eliminate. So the hazard and risk comes together. So we should eliminate the risk, and also we should reduce the hazard. This is our basic focus on the reduction of accidents. So the control measures hierarchy. Number one is the hazard has to be eliminated. Eliminate the hazard. Then substitute the hazard with a lesser risk. Third one is isolate the hazard. Fourth one, use engineering controls. Fifth one is use administrative controls. Number 6 is use personal protective equipment. Actually, in our workplace, lots of hazards are there. So first we should try to eliminate the hazard, number one. Because if we have the hazard, definitely it will lead to accident. But elimination is always not possible. Because for example, in your day-to-day working conditions at the factory, lot of noises will be there. You cannot eliminate the noise completely, because you may try to reduce the noise, or you can do other forms of things. You may not we cannot eliminate the machinery from that particular this one. But in some cases, the process which is giving some hazard may be eliminated from the atmosphere, or there's a different process may be evolved so that the hazard may not be there. But that is called elimination. Then substitution. When we could not be able to eliminate, then at least we should substitute some of the things which can lead to lesser risk. But the hazard also may be a little bit, the amount of degree of this one can be reduced. So that is called substitution. Then isolation, because the problematic machinery or whichever is giving hazard, so that can be isolated. Just as I told you, that noisy machines may be given with an enclosure, so which will reduce, so that the noise can be controlled. So it will not give a trouble or nuisance to the workers working nearby. So that is isolation. Then using engineering controls, like some of the area where some machineries will be there, producing a lot of heat to the working environment, where we have to have engineering methods so that we can provide air control measures, providing very good ventilation in that space. Some form of thing, engineering controls may be used to reduce the hazard. Then the administrative controls. So administratively, we can have that taking the workers from the atmosphere, so reducing the time of exposure to particular hazard. So placing some of the persons, right persons, some of the areas, because some persons who are susceptible to some of health hazards they may be just taken to other areas. So these are all some of the administrative methods, so that the amount of exposure to the risk the hazards may be reduced. Then use of personal protective equipment, because this is the last remedy. So we have to follow personal protective equipment, but we should not use it in the first instance itself. So if you take up the hierarchy, you should first try to eliminate the hazard, then try to substitute. Third one is isolation, then engineering controls. One is administrative control. The last resort is the personal protective equipment. We should not go to the personal protective equipment itself to the last. Because in most of the cases, if we see, they will prefer only for personal protective equipment, which we should not follow. Because it is a last type of control measure which we should go for it. Generally, activities in industries, if we see, generally the foundry and its allied processes are there. Then machine shop containing various types of activities, especially the material removal processes they are handling. So then press work, which includes hot and cold press works, both the things will be there. Then welding and fabrication processes. Then paint shop and allied processes. Then chemical processes, process involving heat, molten material, then material handling activities, utilities and maintenance, than other activities. So if you see, why this is only a small practical form of classification they have given. So every activity will have its own hazard. So we have to see, analyze the hazard whichever is present in these type of activities, and we have to control. The basic principles which you have already seen, that six types of control measures as per the hierarchy, we have to apply in every form of the activity. Boundary and allied active process, if you take up, we even right from the olden type of our sand molding process, going to the pouring of molten material, and then our fettling activities, then finishing. So grinding, finishing, all the activities are involved in the foundry. So we have to take up each and every sub activities into focus, and we should concentrate on the control measures. So similarly, for example, in machine shop, so like our lathe, now all the CNC machines have come into place. So that man-machine interfacing has been already eliminated. So the person now is able to just load the job, and then he is getting the components. So all is done by the material, that machine itself. But still, lot of other hazards are there where we come across lot of accidents. Because in earlier days we see generally that belt drive of the lathe will not be provided with a safety guard. So that similarly the lead screw will not have been protected. So accidents have occurred. The people get caught into the revolving these pulleys, belt drives, even in the lead screw. But now those things have been eliminated in most of the areas because the machineries have been replaced. It's a technological improvement. But the CNC machines have come into place. Very recently, in one of the factory, I have also seen the factory which they are using all this computerized machinery. But the height of the platform on which the person was working, that has been increased so that the person can easily handle the job, because he can easily load the job inside the machine, and then he can take up the component. So the machinery or the real machine was not provided with that platform. He has to stand on the floor, and he has to work on that. The door is also interlocked door. So once you close the door, he cannot to put his hand or even the part of the body inside the machine. But still, some accident has occurred in which the fellow, he was caught inside the machine, and it was a fatal accident. It occurred because there was some manual error. The door was also was not properly maintained with the interlocking arrangement, and also the platform on which the fellow he was standing, because the raised platform they have given. So that fellow, he could be able to lean inside the machine area, the dangerous area. So because of that, accident has occurred. So we should see and we should focus on each and every machine. We cannot take simply by the deemed provision that everything is safe. The machinery manufacturer would have done all the safety measures, inbuilt safety measures in the machine. So that's not so. So we have to concentrate on the work. So similarly, when we put into the machine into the atmosphere, we should see. And the workforce which is being involved there, and the skill, the training, everything is very important. So similarly, the presses, nowadays we see a lot of accidents in presses. So especially maintenance of press is also one of the area where we have to concentrate. The provision of safety in presses, that has to be maintained properly. Otherwise, accidents are very common in press work, because it involves only the upper limbs, that is the injury on the hand. So from the even to the fingers or up to the wrist level, even the hand also. So everything is being affected. So it's all permanent disability. So we have to be very careful in the press work. So similarly, welding and fabrication is the other area where the focus towards safety is very minimal, especially in the areas where the maintenance activities are being conducted. The reason is that welding and fabrication is the simplest process in which you can manage so many things. So even the part of the machinery, very big machinery or latest machinery also, some welding operations may be carried out. So generally, most of the times the people may be using the arc welding transformers, welding transformers, from where the accidents, electrocutions occur. So there proper care has to be taken. The proper insulation should be provided on the atmosphere. So the machineries, everything should be provided with safe method. Then the paint shop and allied processes, where the health hazard is the predominant, but still the fire accidents, that is very common in paint shop. So proper care has to be taken for the ventilation of this work atmosphere at painting. So similarly, the personal protective equipment provided to the workers that has to be properly monitored. So the chemical processes, one of the activity where it's a very elaborate area, covers the entire gamut of manufacturing process in industries. We cannot simply classify this factory as chemical process industry. This is not so. Even in an engineering factory, if we use chemicals, if it is a pharmaceutical unit where lots of chemicals are handled. The proper chemical industries where chemicals are produced or handled. So the chemical process is there in every industry. So focus has to be there towards the safety, occupational safety in all chemical process. So process involving heat and molten material. This is an area where, because foundry is an area where we have to melt and pour the material. But material being heated and molten, it is there in factories involving plastics, so other polymers. So all these industries, they have this type of processes where proper has to be, care has to be taken. So this material handling activities is common activity everywhere, like using our forklifts, vehicles, even manual trucks, even handling, even small hand tools also. Those things are all covered under material handling activities. Then utilities and maintenance, because every factory, they need all the utilities, like our compressors, they use compressors. Then coolers, water cooler, air coolers. So these cooling towers in a bigger way. Then all the furnaces, boilers, everything they are covered under the utilities. So even your STP and ETP. So these are all the machineries and the processes which are being subsidiary to the main activity, but where we have to have a lot of focus, because most of the accidents are occurring in the utilities, especially in ETP and STP. You might have seen in papers. So it's coming up. So the accidents involving that persons entering into the tank and inhaling the toxic gas, facing all these fatalities, everything is common. It's all happening in this type of utilities. So proper care. The maintenance activities also, where normally, generally, general maintenance, routine maintenance, people will have proper SOP and they will follow it. But the accident occurs in maintenance activity, which needs a sudden focus, and they have to repair it within a short span of time, where their main focus will only be on reaching out the particular remedy, and they want to repair it at a very shorter period. So by the time, generally they will throw this safety into the other side. So accident occurs. So accident due to maintenance area is very high. So the other activities, like the activities which are all happening in other areas which are not covered in this one, that is very minimal. So generally, these are all some of the areas where we will have this failure of the safety norms, and the occurrence of accidents are very high. If you take up the nature of accidents in the past few years, so these are all the major category of accidents which are occurring in the industry. That is falling from height. So persons do fall from height. So falling, we can take it because it's not only from height, even on the surface also if fall. If any person fall, definitely he is prone for injury. But falling from height is one of the gray area where it depends upon where the injury has occurred, even the impact of the injury, everything is very important. As per our Factories Act, if anybody is working more than at a height more than 2 meters, he should use only the safety belt. Without using safety belt, he should not be allowed to work more than 2 meter height. Because generally, if you take up, because it depends upon how the injury occurs and where, how he landed on the floor. Falling from height means it's a high impact hitting. So where he landed, because the bodily injury where it has occurred. Generally, head injury is highly dangerous and it may lead to fatality in most of the cases. Because our generally the human skull, it cannot withstand more than 80 to 100 joules of impact energy. So this is what they have already experimentally they have arrived at. So if any impact energy more than 80 to 100 joules, definitely it will lead to the fracture of the skull bones, and it may lead to severe damage to the brain, and people may die. So that's why we have to be very careful with falling from height. So generally falling from height occurs the work at the height. So many forms of works people will be doing it. So, there is a possibility for accident. So similarly, these electrical accidents. So all machinery without electricity we cannot operate. So care has to be taken controlling the electrical accidents have to be avoided. If we don't take proper care, then definitely accidents will occur. Even from a small voltage source, maybe from a welding transformer, which already I have discussed, may have around 60 to 80 volt. So that may be a lethal voltage, depending upon the condition. So proper care we have to take. Even small machines, even for in electronic industries, people use some testing machines where they want to test the conductivity, or they call it as conductivity testing, something like that, where that circuit board will be subjected to high voltage impact for a very short time. So just they will apply at the almost 50,000 to 1 lakh voltage at the end to end. So they will see is there any electrical short circuiting in the circuit. So if it passes, it is okay. If it fails, they will throw the component. But during this type of peak, this one, they are applying 50,000 voltage within a fraction of a second, maybe it may be fatal. The proper care has to be taken, because accident has occurred and even fatalities also have happened in such type of industry. So electrical accidents are highly dangerous and it is common. Even in domestic accidents also we see that accidents occurring in the using iron boxes or electrical heaters. So there's so many, we are using the extension cords where too many wires we use it using the same extension cord. So too many wires generally leads to fire because of overheating. The short circuiting may have occurred knowingly or unknowingly. We may be using the damaged extension cord. So again and again. So it leads to a lot of accidents. So we should be very careful. So all the electrical machineries, everything should be provided with earth leakage circuit breaker, CLCB. Generally, people used to say, sir, we have already provided MCB in all of them. No, MCB is only to safeguard the machine against any high current or whatever it is usage of this one, high load. But this ELCB is the only remedy for safeguarding the humans, because if there is any fault current occurs, so this ELCB will automatically trip the circuit. The passage of current to the victim, that will be cut. So that is how we can avoid accidents. So this power press accidents already I have told you. It only leads to permanent disability, even fatality. So we have to be very careful with the press, because it depends upon the impact of the press, the injury and the load on which that fellow has been crushed. Because sometimes very small injuries may occur, the person can get cured. But most of the cases, it's a permanent disability in case of press injury. And fire and explosion accidents, so it's very common nowadays, especially if you see fire accidents occur in most of the industries. The root cause, people generally say that it is because of electrical short circuit. This is how we used to deal with all the fire. It's not so. Fire is an elaborate area where because that basic triangle of fire we know, any fire to get sustained, it needs the three that is the triangular model we see. One is the fuel, and another one is the heat, third one is the oxygen. So the three elements of this fire exist, then automatically fire will sustain. So it will lead to major damages. So we should break any one of the area. So we all know the type materials, class A, class B, class C. So depending upon the material which we use, we should resort to the method of prevention first. Then after that mitigation. So we should use proper form of fire hydrant. So because we should not go for water every time. Generally, we used to the tendency we will call this fire and fire service department. They will come and with a very huge tank capacity of this water. So they will pump it. So once they pump it water, the fire will automatically get extinguished. This is the general theory, but it cannot be applied in every case. Even the pressure at which that is applied, that is also very, very important. I have seen practically in one of the fire, which has occurred very long back in a government building. You might have also all know that in 2012 there was a fire. So in that particular case, I was I went to the spot and I was witnessing the fire. And the fire service people, they were there in full force and they were applying all the water through the pumps. But still fire was there. They couldn't able to extinguish in time. It was there going on. Even the water which they were pumping over the fire, it is just almost coming out of that area, almost like a small stream or a river like that. It's coming up because from all the angles they were using. But the fire still, it was there. It was going on. So only after the entire material is totally completely burned out, they couldn't able to extinguish the fire. The basic reason may be because already the fire is there, so the temperature is so high, they couldn't able to blanket the oxygen in that area, even though it's a class A fire. But one thing what I have seen and I just infer from that fire accident is only the pressure at which that water was applied on that fire. That is more important. So because in all the factories we will be having sufficient quantity of air hydrant, even the pump, these pipelines, everything will be there. But we have to see whether the pressure, whether your pressure pump is having the head. You have to see the nameplate and check up whether the pressure at which your water is being applied, is it okay? If it is not okay, we may be just pouring water, but it will not extinguish the fire. So we have to be very careful. Similarly, application of foam. So this application of this gases, fire suppressant. So which type of fire extinguisher that we should use, that is very important. So similarly, in case of this explosion also, that we should avoid inimical chemicals, because most of the times applying water into some of the chemicals may lead to hazardous substances, where we have to be very, very, very careful. So the material safety data sheet of the chemicals that plays a major role. We should have a complete knowledge over the material safety data sheet. What is the hazard present in using the chemical is very important. So we should focus on those points. And accidents in material handling activities, that is our forklifts and basic things which we can see. A large number of accidents are occurring. And similarly, accidents involving molten or hot metal, where we have to be very careful. Molten material, spillage of molten material, even splash of molten material from the furnaces, that is also very common. Then these chemical accidents. We have seen lot of chemical accidents, like in the form of bhopal, even to the recent one at Vizag, the LG polymers. So these are all the areas we know, because these are all in the effects are colossal. But smaller accidents are happening inside the factories where small injuries or even fatalities occur. So we should learn from others' experience. We should form our own processes in such a way that it is safe. Chemical accidents, Bhopal accident is the one of the accidents, as I already told you. The Union Carbide factory, that is on 2nd December 1984 night. So this methyl isocyanate gas, it evolved from the factory. So almost 4,000 persons were died overnight. Lakhs of people were affected. So because in the factory that the proper maintenance was not there, even it was a runaway reaction. Water entered into the area where this methyl isocyanate gas was stored in a tank. So almost 42 tons of MIC released from the tank. Because generally the storage, they have gone for more storage, excessive storage. Because as per safety norms, they have to only store 30 tons of MIC in the tank, but they have stored in excess 42,000. So excessive storage. Then that gas has to be, stored in a refrigerated condition. But the refrigeration unit, they were not running. Because by the time they faced some financial this one, so the instability. So out of that, so they have taken some remedial some measures, economical measures. So they have compromised safety. That is what the findings after effects to keep the storage tank temperature. So then there was some maintenance activity when they were doing it, water into one of the plane and it entered into the tank. So it led to some reaction, because water and methyl isocyanate reaction took place. So that led to the exothermic reaction, so temperature still increased. So since the refrigeration plant was not running, the temperature shoot up. So all the gas evolved from the tank, it went out, and already they have provided the safety scrubber. So something has come up, it will come only through the safety scrubber. But the scrubber was also not functioning properly, so that it can be neutralized before letting out to the atmosphere. So the scrubber also failed. Then at the top, there should be a flare tower to burn out the gas. The flare tower was also not functioning. So everything has happened, so it came out of the plant and it affected innocent people who were sleeping at the night at Bhopal. So they free all of us. It is one of the worst chemical accidents. After that, our government of India have enacted this Environment Protection Act 1980. Have come into place. Lot of amendments in Factories Act and Public Insurance Liability Act 1980 also was enacted. So all these new enactments have come to have more stringent norms on safety, especially related to chemical accidents. Even in the case of this recent gas leak of the styrene monomer at Vizag also, it is one of the eye-openers, where the styrene was stored in this one because of some malfunctioning. That's what they were telling. So that it has to be kept by between 20 to 22 degrees centigrade. That styrene monomer has to be stored. So the temperature it raised beyond the temperature. So it got vaporized. So styrene came out of the tank and it affected the entire area. Occupational from that particular village nearer to Vizag, almost 11 persons died and almost 500 people were affected because of that gas. So still all these chemical accidents occur. But we have to be very, very careful in even a miniature level factors which leads to this chemical process. Right from the storage to the process, we should be very careful. Otherwise, the chemical accidents will lead to almost a lot of disaster. The colossal effects will be there. So then the other accidents occur, accidents involving other human failures. One or two accidents leading to human failures are there. Even sometimes some freak incidents that may also lead to fatality. We have to focus on these accidents to avoid what type of thinking should be there in place. The SOP has to be properly evolved. Just to have one by one, just I want to show just in a faster rate. I want to show some of the examples that I have seen during my course of my service. So this working at height, we know working at height is working any place, including a place at above or below ground level, where a person would be injured if they fell from the place. Working on trestles, working on roof containing fragile material, erecting false work or formwork, working on a ladder, working at ground level adjacent to an excavation, working on farm work within an excavation. So these are all some of the areas that is called as working at height. So this is falling from height. Generally, people used to work on the fragile roof like asbestos roofing or even roof seats containing polycarbonate seats. So the people, when they just step on this type of fragile material, there is a likelihood that person may fall from the height and he will sustain injury. So if he lands up with some of the parts, may not be there. It depends upon the height from which he is falling. Even the place on which he just land on the ground. So duck ladder or traveling boat shall be used for working at fragile roofs. So this will reduce the intensity, so that load acting on the particular fragile material will be reduced. So the accident could be avoided. So this is some of the unsafe working practices people follow. So makeshift arrangements. The people will generally use shortcut methods. So definitely this will lead to accidents. Here the forklift is involved, where on the forklift some movable trolley like this one is used. So the fellow is standing on the top and he is attending some work. Another person is putting up one ladder. That ladder is also in the wrong way he is using it. So this type of unsafe work practices definitely lead to accidents. See here that small construction activity inside a factory. The fellow is not wearing any safety belt. This is one of the case. One fellow, driver of this bulk truck, is carrying the cement. So he just fell from the vehicle and he just hit with a fatal head injury. As I already told you, humans cannot withstand more than 80 to 100 joules. So this fellow, he just landed from the top of that truck. He landed only on with his head. So just totally fracture on the skull. He died on the spot. So falling from height, you have to be very, very careful. Then this power press safety. This power press we have to provide with photoelectric guards, so that any person should not insert his hand or any part of the body inside the moving ramp. So two-hand control switches should be provided to avoid extremities to get inside the danger zone. And proper holding device should be provided. Trained operators should be employed in the power press. The operator should always away from the danger zone. So to keep those things, that safety mats also to be provided in and around the area, so that if the fellow steps on the safety mat, automatically the press also get tripped. So all these type of safety mechanism we have to provide so that power press accident can be avoided. Periodical examination and maintenance are very important. Even some of the machinery, due to the failure of machines, so the clutch failure, it may also lead to fatalities. So the guarding of that area is also important. In some of the areas, what occur in they may using some high that steals the job material that will have a tendency to just get into the pieces sometimes. Even that thrown away pieces from the press sometimes, even it hits the persons on the stomach or this thorax area. where it may lead to fatality also. Just like a bullet, it comes and hit the inner body and people get damaged. So we have to be very careful with power first operation. This is a victim. This fellow is lost his left hand, so now he is having only an artificial limb in place. Really, this fellow he lost his wrist level. These are all permanent disability. If you see the electrical safety, that has already explained you the welding machines. The welding machines provision and operation of earth leakage circuit breaker has to be monitored. Continuity of earthing, the insulation of this welding holder, an automatic voltage reduction device, and ventilation of workplace, personal safety equipment, personal protective equipment. These are all very important because earth leakage circuit breaker ELCB at the rate of 30 milliamperes, it should be there on the mains, that is on the primary circuit, especially on the welding transformers. We can just classify it into primary circuit and secondary circuit. So on the primary circuit, provision of this ELCB will prevent any electrical shock. But at the same time, on the secondary circuit, that is the power input from the transformer to the this welding holder, we have to see the voltage reduction device. Because if this inbuilt mechanism is already provided in the welding transformer, it's okay. But most of the electrode type of welding transformers, they may not have this type of things. In the latest machines, some of the machines they have provided, but in olden type of machines, which is being generally employed for this maintenance work, this provision is totally absent. So we have to go for this voltage reduction device, the separate mechanism, so that we can safeguard the worker from any electrical shock at the secondary circuit area. And the ventilation of workplace is very important because the person should always be without any that he should be free and he should not be totally in wet condition. Because that proper ventilation, if it is not there, definitely people will have a lot of sweating. He will get drenched with sweat. So by the time that resistance of the human body will be very low, so then he may be susceptible to electrical shock because of the passage of higher current through the body. So we have to be very careful in the provision of this ventilation. Like personal protective equipment is very, very important. So they have to be provided with proper insulative mechanisms, the form of even shoes, gloves, even the aprons, everything has to be properly used. Some of the electrical accidents that have even occurred in injection molding machines, because in injection molding machines they are using the band heaters, where the heating element that is inside the band heaters that requires high current. So all the wires, cables, whichever is using in that area, that has to be periodically checked for the installation. So even if there is any leakage of current, automatically it will touch the body of the machine. So through which the person who is working on the machine may get electrical shock. So only in one of the cases, this is one of the factory where I have taken this photograph. There was a fatal accident occurred because the failure of the insulation in the cables, providing power to the band heaters. So this is a very common, very small freak incident in which one portable blower was used with the temporary cable connections that is routed along the floor. So one fellow, he just moved this particular table. So one corner, one of the table, this one leg, he just cut the cable supplying power to the blower. So suddenly, instantaneously, that fellow got electrical shock and he died on the spot. So it's a very weak accident. It may occur in any place. That doesn't need to be at an industry. Even in our offices or even in our households also, these type of accidents may occur. So we have to be very careful. Don't put the cables along the floor for any purpose. is just to have an outlook of the effect of current. This is Charles Benzie's experiment. So he has made a lot of experimentation on current on human. So his findings is when the current passes through the body, because the electricity means it follows the Ohm's law. If we take up generally, so the current passes through the conductor. That is, if, as per Ohm's law, current is equal to voltage divided by resistance. I is equal to V by R. So the voltage is constant. It is available in the system, electrical system, whether it is 250 voltage or 440 voltage, or it is 7 kVA or 23 kVA. So all these things are already there in the system. Voltage we cannot do anything away with it. But the resistance, which we can pay with it, if we increase the resistance, so automatically the current passes through the conductor will get reduced. That is, I is equal to V by R. So V is constant, but increasing R, we definitely can reduce the current. So considering human as a conductor, if a human is touching a live wire, live electrical system, then the voltage available in the system is there. So if he is having more resistance, then definitely the current passes through his body is lesser. So this Charles Benzile has made experiments. He says when 0.4 milliampere of current is passing through the body, no sensation of hand. So people cannot sense whether the current is passing through him. So that slight tingling, that is called the perception threshold. That is when 1.1 milliampere current is passing through the body. So there is a shock, but not painful. And the muscular control is not lost. It's 1.8 milliamperes. Because shock will be there. So, but it is not so painful. Generally, people used to call it as vibration. There is a vibration people used to call colloquially. But it will not be painful. So he can also take away his hand from the circuit, because his muscular control is not lost. But if it is 9 milliamperes, it's a painful shock. Painful, but muscular control is still there. So it is painful, so he will throw away from the system. It is a dangerous area where we have to be very careful. Sometimes people working in some height or somewhere else, if he just experience this type of shock, immediately because of the reflex, he may jump out or he may fall from the height also. It has occurred in one of the factory where one senior level executive, he died and he just fell from a height of around 50 to 60 meter height, and he fell. Because when we just go to the spot from where he has just fallen, before that they were telling that maybe due to some of his personal commitments and the family problem, he committed suicide from jumping from height. But on inquiring from that place, and when we went to that place from where he just fell, the chemical plant, so where the leakage of current we were able to feel. So by touching some areas, he was thrown out, he lost the balance. So the barricade already provided, the height of the barricade was very less on that particular level. So he just fell from the height and he landed up fatality. So this type of thing may happen at this time, 9 milliampere current when it is passing through the body. But when it is 23 milliampere, it is painful, it is a severe shock, muscular contractions totally lost. So that is called as sticking to the circuit. The body cannot be released. Will be stick to the area where he has touched. So the breathing also will be difficult. At this time, he has to be rescued at a fast rate, and otherwise fatality will occur. But the possible ventricular fibrillation occurs even from a short shocks. That is duration of 3 seconds. 100 milliampere is passing through the body. So this ventricular fibrillation is the root cause for the failure of heart during the electrical circuits, because electrical shocks are generally will lead to only heart attack, that is heart failures. So getting charred by high tension line and high voltage areas, that is different. But with this type of shock, electrical shock, death is only due to heart failure, because automatically heart will stop its functioning once it gets into the ventricular fibrillation state. So unless otherwise, these artificial resuscitation techniques, So these things are done within the next 2-3 minutes. Then we cannot save the people once he just undergone this type of 100 milliampere. Now I just come to the point. This current is equal to voltage divided by resistance. That is Ohm's law. So now this we have this 100 milliampere is deadly when it passes through the body for 3 seconds. But if we take up the normal conditions, generally a dry human, as per internationally accepted norms, he is having 1000 ohms the resistance. So if we say if you take up, he is touching a 250 voltage electrical circuit. So the current passes through the body will be 250 divided by 1000. That is nothing but 250 milliamps. That is 0.25 amps, which is equal to 250 milliamps. So this 250 milliamps, if it passes through the body, so definitely it will lead to ventricular fibrillation and death will occur. So we have to improve the resistance. We can provide a very good highly rubber suits capable of giving 1 lakh ohms. So if we put on his system, the resistance will improve to 1 lakh ohms. So 250 divided by 1 lakh, definitely will have very minimal milliamperes. So he may not have even sensation also not on his hand, even though current passes through the body, he will escape from this. So we should improve the resistance so that we can escape from electrical accidents. This is forklift safety. So this forklift we see loading should not be beyond the capacity. Then driver's visibility should not be black. Normally the reverse horn should be there in every forklift. Overspeeding should be avoided. The drivers should be subject to the eye examination, especially for this visual acuity as well as color blindness. And the tires should not be damaged. And improper usage. That is, it should be driven only on the front direction, not on the reverse direction. So these are all some of the basic safety forklift. We should go for it. The badly damaged tires. See here, he has already loaded the forklift with this one. So totally his front view is blocked. He cannot drive the vehicle on the front direction. So he used to drive the vehicle only in the reverse direction. We cannot expect a human to be so skillful that he can drive it on the reverse direction. It is against economics. So he will have a back pain, neck pain, everything will be there. So due to fatigue, definitely there will be accident. Even the maneuverability of the vehicle, he cannot steer it also properly. So definitely that may lead to accident. So this type of thing we have to avoid. This is one of the accident in which the practice of allowing that co-riders on forklift. So this accident is to the co-rider, the fellow who was caught in between the stationary truck and the forklift with the co-rider. He was just traveling along with the driver. Because exactly what happened we don't know, because I think that fellow was he was driving the vehicle on one direction, but suddenly something has come in the opposite, so he was steering the vehicle suddenly. You can see the tread mark on the floor. So he was just steered the vehicle. So fearing that this forklift may hit the stationary truck, the co-rider he jumped out of the forklift suddenly. It all happened all of a sudden. He just jumped out, but you see here is that his right hand it caught in between the hook of the stationary truck, so he couldn't be able to release it. At the moment, this fellow steered further, the driver. So his neck, it get trapped in between the frame of the forklift and the stationary. So it led to the crushing of his head and it was a fatal accident. So we have to be very careful. We should not allow this type of practices, bad practices in the workspot. This is one of the accidents that has occurred in the misusage of pressure vessels for some purpose. Here they were using it is a kerosene fired burner used for clearing tar barrels. That instead of manually pumping the air, pressurized air from compressor was used. So this is the particular small tank in which kerosene was poured, and they were manual pumping was there. So they have to pump, and the fuel kerosene mixer was used to establish the burner, the flame in the burner end. They were using it. But instead of this manual pumping, they went for compressed air at a pressure of 7 kg per centimeter square. So the force, the kerosene, so that instead of manual pumping, they were getting. But on a fatful day, there was a sudden blockage of nozzle on the burner end. So it created a back pressure. Because of the back pressure, the fillet weld at the bottom of this small tank, it can only withstand 4 kg per centimeter square. But introducing 7 kg per centimeter square system at the backflow pressure, that caused the failure at the bottom. So it has opened at the bottom, and the entire kerosene and already entered the air at high pressure. It created a huge vapor cloud. So already open flame is there, so it caught fire. So in the vapor cloud fire, the two workers nearby, they just had to do the accident. So this type of shortcut methods we should not start. So coding of revolving parts of machines. So this is one of the factory in which that revolving machinery was there, where they were polishing the shoes, the leather goods. So while they were doing it, the wheel will be running at higher RPM, so it has to be guarded properly. Generally, ladies were employed in the factory having long these plates. So in one of the cases, it has occurred like that. This lady, she got in between this rotating this one, and she lost her plate from the scalp. So the entire thing has come out. So now plastic surgery has made, and it is a fast person. This also, this lady is also, she was affected from a similar accident. So revolving machinery, we have to be careful. Even in a recent accident that has occurred in one of the factory, one particular girl employee, she just succumbed to that injury due to this strangling of her neck when her dupatta was getting entangled in here, revolving his belt. We have to be very careful. So the persons who are working nearer to the machines, they should not be allowed with the loose clothing, even the sarees, the dupattas, all the things. So proper care has to be taken, providing the tight clothes. Even for the headgear also, they have to be provided. Care has to be taken that any part of the human body should not get entangled to the world. This safety in grinding machines. Grinding machines are fragile in nature because that wheel, it revolves at higher speed. So if any breakage of the wheel due to any this one, so definitely it will hit at higher speed because of the higher centrifugal force. It hit only the vital organs, so fatality may occur. You have to be very careful. So all the grinding wheels are designed only for peripheral grinding activity. So we should not use for lateral grinding activity. So applying pressure on the other side may lead to failure. That's why we have to provide the guarding properly, so that the tool dress has to be provided. The worker also has to be trained properly in handling the machine. So generally, some of the unsafe acts, so lifting of objects while handling. So this is a correct lifting technique and the incorrect lifting technique. So like our basic principles of our liver, which we may have to consider in this type of activities. From the fulcrum, that is the effort and the load, we have to see that. We should see that always the load and this one should be at the shorter distance, so that it will not affect our back. So one of the accident in which one fellow, he lost his foot at the leg at the foot level. So the one is now is having artificial limb. The left side photo is wearing the artificial limb. So the right side photo, if you see, that this is a real leg provided with one small metallic insert in the leg, so that he can use this one. But he got his foot damaged while lifting on a huge material using this chain pulley block. He was not using a proper work holding device in that. So just he put one small sling. That sling was not properly tied up. It fell on his foot and he got injured and he lost his rare accidents to happen. So small accidents also occur in everywhere. So this is one activity which I have just seen during my inspection. So some purpose he just inspect. So this one, that is a diesel tank. So where the residual vapors may be there, if this type of naked spark, this one, if it is introduced in the system, automatically it will lead to explosion or fire. So this is one of the victim who has already undergone this type of fire in a paint shop. While he was using the paint shop, the nearby, they were going for a hot work. So the spark from that one, it just came to the area. So where already enormous vapor cloud was present, so he got fire. The entire body just got injuries. So especially this type of injuries, it's all third-degree burns may lead to fatality, because we cannot expect that person's more than 40% of burn injury to come out healthy, because definitely most of the cases more than 40% of third-degree burns will lead to fatality. The care has to be taken care, especially to avoid this vapor cloud and hard work in and around these areas. So with this, I think I have just covered some of the area, Raj.
Thank you very much, sir.
So I think whether I have exceeded my time, I don't know, because anyhow, just a presentation, what I brought in, I wanted to share.
It's
Just
really,
gone through. Yeah.
it's really interesting, sir. You covered working at height, improper
Yeah.
scaffold, and the platform no using in the forklift, and no truck accident, power press safety. Then some of the fellows they lose the hand and using the artificial hand, and the permanent disablement, electrical accident, injection molding accident, temporary electrical connections, material handling use of forklift. Then four riders accident in the forklift sitting in the behind, and safety in pressure vessels, and the revolving machinery, safety in grinding machine, fire accident, like that, sir. It's mostly covered most of the accidents. Now I request member, please raise the hand, and then I will make you allow the mic, and you can directly interact with our additional director. This is the chance for you. You can interact directly. If you have any questions, please raise the hand. Or you can give the feedback. I request everyone, please raise the hand. I will make you as an presenter. You can directly interact with our additional director. Yes, Chalamal madam, you can interact with sir, Ananth sir. Ma'am, you can unmute, you can speak, ma'am, now.
Am I audible?
Yes, madam.
Yes, madam. Please, madam.
Good morning, sir. Very good morning. Sir, in the forklift operation, you are mentioning about the front riding is the safe one. But sometimes we ride in the backwards also. So is that, can you little bit brief on that, sir?
Madam, actually, it's that's what we have to evolve the safe operating procedure. So, to the best possible, this one vehicle is designed only for the front-driven vehicle, so it is only for the movement towards the front. So, you have to see your system. In occasional times, we may resort to that. but we should not keep it as a practice, because that is not a good practice to ride the vehicle on the backward and do the thing. Because I have seen in so many cases during my service, some areas they only drive the vehicle backwards. That has to be avoided. So you just think and you should just evolve your own system. I don't think because it's only a brainstorming exercise which you have to make it up. So why you need, you just go get into the point, whether you have very large, huge jumbo bag like that, which you have to carry in front, so that the visibility will be blocked, so that you can avoid the front driven system and go for only the reverse direction. So if that is, you please don't go into the practice, just avoid it.
Perfect, sir. Got it. Thank you.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Next, I request Kesavraj. Now I am allowing mic. You can unmute. You can talk to Ananth sir directly. Kesavraj. Okay. Next, Mr. Kumar Narayan sir. I am allowing mic now. You can now use the unmute the mic. You can directly interact with Ananth sir. So next,
good morning, sir. I am Kumar Narayan.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, good morning.
Thank you, sir. Very nice presentation, sir. I have some points.
Yes.
One is, I'm from a construction organization more than 40 years.
Yes.
Many accidents are happening in scaffolding.
Okay.
Scaffolding wise, you also covered some points.
Yeah.
But the problem is, we don't have certified scaffolder. Like abroad, we have a certified scaffolder. Like that option is not available in India. That is one point. The same way, equipments also. Like with this all forklift, concrete mixture, and other crane, we allowed any operator with a heavy license.
Yeah.
So those heavy license operator may not have, see, some of the things we are looking for the certificate, experience certificate, where he worked all those things. Since construction industry is the vast area, suppose the person comes from northern side to Tamil Nadu, he shows the certificate. We could not able to verify whether the certificate, whether he worked there, he got an earlier experience. So these are all the few areas we feel it is very like accidents are more, and the certification for crane operators. So like we have to bring something in the regulation itself, in the code of practice or whatever it is there. So that is my request, sir. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Actually, I agree with your point, sir. Actually, because this POCW Act and rules in some of the areas they are silent. So these type of aspects are not covered. Of course, I agree with you. But now this Occupational Safety and Health Code 2020 that has been enacted. So under that, the new rules are being framed, and a lot of regulations are also coming up. So definitely your point will be taken care in that regulation, because already Government of India has already constituted committees for that, and now they are evolving. So when that particular things are putting into the public forum for inviting your comments and other things, so I request you to just please raise the matter in that one. So definitely we will get a comprehensive legislation and guidelines in the new act and rules, definitely. Because now there is no point in discussing with our existing POCW act and rules, or even our practice act rules, which are because the days are numbered. So in the new publication of this rules, draft rules, where we can raise the things. So whatever the new concept or the gray area which has been left out so far, that can be given a focus. So you please do. I just you can just expect the things in the new law.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Next is Venkatraman Ramamurthy. Could you please unmute? You can directly speak to Ananth sir now.
Very good morning, sir. This is Venkat. We had a very good eye-opening session from you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Ananth sir and Rajivali sir. Only one doubt. Actually, we are using safety machines and presses. In this, normally we used to have the two-hand switches. In addition to that, we are incorporating pulse controlled light curtains also, which is actually the pulse control mechanism is having more expensive, which is best, sir.
Yeah, actually, we cannot say that which one is best and which one is not effective. But it depending upon the area or place where you are just putting into operation. Because some of the areas which repairs even a mechanical this guarding, that may be enough, that will be better. So in some of the areas, because as you said, you are having two-hand control system, even that is being, it is not being used properly. Because in that mushroom type switches, people place some weight on one of the switch and they are operating with one switch alone. So even in pseudo type of switches, if you go for, the person inserts some small stick or even the toothpick, and he is just making the system inoperative. So it depends upon the area in which you are putting it, and you have to give proper training. Like the sensor, whatever we are using it, it depends upon the area, because without coming to your particular workplace, I cannot be able to give you which is better or which is not better. But you just focus on your own system and employ it. Even beam sensors are there nowadays, can able to give very good control. But even the people, to keep the person away, you can even use this safety mats also in and around. So many things you can go for it. So it is an open area, it's a vast area where you can utilize your own knowledge, that is your domain knowledge, to put into a safer workplace. Our focus is only to achieve a zero accident workplace. Okay.
Yes,
So you please with that, or keeping that thing in your mind, you please work it out. Okay.
thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you,
please.
sir. Next, VNM, no guest in airport. Could you please unmute and you can ask the questions to Ananth, sir? VNM.
Sir, how will you functionally check the working of ELCB, sir, in case of any equipment?
See, actually, the basic working principles of ELCB, that is earthly key circuit breaker, it is nothing but ground fault current interceptor. It is called the GFCI. So it is working on, it is a transformer principle. So the current, it just measures the difference between the current coming through the neutral and the earthing cable. So if you don't have a continuity in the earthing system, that is your earth cable is not having continuity, then ELCB will not work. So first you have to check up your that earthing cable and the continuity to the ELCB. Then only you can ensure whether the ELCB is working. In most of the cases, ELCB will be there. If the continuity of earthing is not ensured, that is useless. That will not work, because it may be there, but if the electrical short or any shock, that is the leakage occurs in the circuit, it cannot detect, because that sensing should see that is the difference of current in these two circuits. So whatever the current returning in the other direction and the leakage, the difference will be there. So it will sense the difference in between these two circuits, then it will stop trip the circuit. That is the basic principle. So first you just check the continuity of the earth, then automatically you will find out whether the ELCB is working or not.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yes.
Next, I request Vimal Selvan, Mr. Vimal Selvan.
Yes, sir. Sir, very good morning, sir.
Very good morning.
Sir, I have a doubt regarding, can we keep a pressure vessel inside the workshop, sir? Air receiver or air compressor?
But in which working environment you are placing it? That is what. See,
nearby fabrication area.
See, actually, that's what already as I explained. You cannot simply isolate a particular machine and see that whether it is safer or not. It has to be in an integrated mode. You have to see, because in and around, first of all, it will induce noise. It will create noise. So it is a nuisance to others. Number one. So okay, you ignore that factor. Second one, if that machine is running in there, lot of vibrations will be coming and it will affect the other workers who are working nearby. Third one, if it fails, if there is a leakage of air, what will occur to the workplace? You just focus on those points, then you decide whether you can place it or not. because if there is a failure of a pressure vessel, then it should it like a mini blast or the explosion. So there we have to be very careful. So better you just keep it aside and isolate the machine. That is what my simple and general advice for.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, Vimal sir. Next, Mr. Ram Kumar, please. Mr. Ram Kumar or Mr. Kamal? Kamal?
Sir, this is Ram from First Industry, sir. Good morning, sir.
Yes, sir.
Good morning.
So this is very excellent presentation. It's very useful to our training and our presentation, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
So I have some small clarification, sir. So it is any rule or law? It is obtaining co-passenger is not sitting on our forefoot, sir.
See, actually, as far as safety is concerned, it is only your own concepts and SOPs. Okay. So don't go for law or bylaws or what do you call it, the sections in the Act and rules. Okay. But if we want to give you some provisions which we have to resort to that, definitely we can quote you. That is different. But straight away we don't have any provision that co-rider should not be allowed in the forklift. There is no such specific provision in Factories Act or even in any other law tying in force. But this is a SOP which you have to evolve and you have to practice. But if it is not practiced and if something has occurred, just as I already explained in my presentation, we have issued some so-called notices and we have even taken them to the court under some provision of law. It is available in the Factories Act and rules. So which can be quoted, but we don't have a specific thing that a co-rider should not be put into place in a forklift. There is no such provision as far as it is concerned.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, please. Okay.
Thank you, Ram Kumar sir. Next, Mr. Kamal.
Sir, good morning, sir. Thanks for sharing various incidents, sir. So generally, we are using 24 volt in confined spaces. Recently, one tank for this vacuum box text under the plate, as per codes and standards, it is referring that 1000 lux is needed. But while putting as a 24 volt, we are unable to achieve that illumination level. The technical part, they are asking that it is code is recommended that we have to ensure 1000 lux because we have to ensure the tag integrity. At this time, as a safety officer, how can we reflect, sir? Because we really face this currently this scenario.
Okay, just I have one small this one. That illumination, why that is needed? That much illumination is needed there.
Sir, it is checking that integrity of the bottom plate, sir. Vacuum box integrity test they are doing to ensure there is no crack in the welding to ensure the integrity, sir. For that purpose, if in case of illumination is more, while they are spraying that dye penetrating, sir. For that particular any mild leak is there, so that much illumination only we can able to view that hot spots. It is while checking that ports also it is recommended that for this activity 1000 lux is needed. But while we are putting more number of ELCBs with 24 volt connection with ELCBs, but we are unable to achieve that illumination with the lux related to the lux level.
But it is inside a confined space. You cannot take it out to the other areas and see that. That work cannot be done.
No, sir. It is a tank bottom plate. We have to check on periodical basis. Tank bottom plate. Well, they are asking. You are as a safety person. You are technically saying that 24 volt is needed. They are technically asking that for that.
They need that illumination. So for us, 24 volt will not be enough to have that much of illumination. Lighting may not be that much to have the illumination level. See, some of the areas are like that. It is like a vicious circle. Somehow that you have to break. But you please see that that employment of human inside that area. Otherwise, you can go for some robotic this one, because if it is a regular work which you have to do it, try to automate that, go for automation so that you can eliminate human inside the area. So we're handling this type of equipment, number one. Number two, you just improve the safety of the equipment, as you said. This provision of ELCB and even giving the complete insulation for the humans who are present. You try to completely eliminate all the vapor clouds or even small element of this PL mixers, which may present in the atmosphere, so which may lead to fire or any other thing. Because number one is electrocution, number two is the spark should not get generated, and the work atmosphere also has to be maintained free from any explosive or inflammable material. You just ensure it and go for it. So this is how we can avoid those things. Because you just don't classify it as a portable lighting. You try to provide some of permanent type of lighting inside the area, specialized equipments for that. Okay.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next few questions quickly, because Sir is very busy. He is spending too much time for us. I request next Mr. Neelakandan or Mr. Bala. Bala, please.
Sir, good morning, sir.
Sir,
this is Balamurugan. Sir, one thing is in the soldering process, it will be comes under the hazardous process or not, sir? First question. Second thing is we are using the soldering material is lead-free material we are using. So it is comes under the 2CP or not? I need some clarification on that, sir.
But actually, especially if you take up only whether the soldering is 2CB or not, I couldn't be able to give you an answer for that. 2CB is a broad-based classification for the entire factory. So not only the soldering process, you have to see it with the other process, incidental process relating in your industry. Because if you do with one small solder iron without any lead, and if you use only one small equipment, then that may not become under the case of 2CB. But if that is your main manufacturing process, you have to see the other supporting this one also, so that the classification of the industry, whether it is coming under 2CB or not, we can see only in the particular integration of the process. But generally, if you are not using lead-free, okay, you are not using lead, but the fumes whichever is generated even by the soldering process, also that may lead to other health hazards. So because it's all metallic vapors, so proper care has to be taken, so that the vapor has to be scrubbed and it has to be removed from the work atmosphere. So efficient, the time weighted average concentration and this air quality analysis, all these things have to be conducted at the spot. I hope.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Bala. Next, Mr. Kesavraj, please. Kesavraj. If Kesavraj not available, then Sendamil Chelvan, please. We can wind up the program after finishing. Sendamil Chelvan.
Hello, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, good afternoon. This is with respect to accident reporting. Okay, the overall theme was good actually, and the coverage was also good. But what is the mechanism if there is any fatal accident, like reporting of accident?
See, this is already as per, if it is a factory, we have already have our own rules. So as per the rules, if it is a fatal accident, within 12 hours, you have to inform to the inspector of factories of that particular area where it is situated. So that is, if it is an accident which causes a person from coming to the factory for the next 48 hours, then from the 48 hours, before the expiry of 24 hours, you have to intimate to the inspector. That is for the other act. So this is the general requirement as per the factory.
Okay. And one more thing, what is the role of our local police? Whether they have got any legislation to come inside the factory and
Yes, definitely. Yeah, definitely. See, police is empowered. So definitely, for example, if there is an accident, a fatal accident occurs, so definitely the police can enter into the factory, and because as per 174 CRPC, it is the duty of the police to take the body to the postmortem and do the postmortem, and they will hand over the body to the next other persons of the family. So this is a general procedure followed by the police. So they can also inquire into the accident. So cause of the accident, they will see that. So they are also empowered as per the provisions of this Indian Penal Code (IPC). Certain sections they can also go for it. So because this is parallel legislation, so they are filing cases or registering cases under criminal law. But our factories, our department, we just enforces a social law, and we just take up procedures for the provisions of factory. So we cannot prevent police from coming into the factory and doing the things. But in practice, so it is a special law. So if, when we are proceeding further, they may just stop their proceedings and they will only close the file. We are only just conducting the postmortem and handing over the body. That is only they will resort to, and they will dispose of. This is in practice.
So we cannot prevent them from doing any kind of
yes, sir, yes, sir, yes, sir, yes, sir, definitely.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Finally, Mr. Venkatachalapati. Mr. Venkatachalapati.
Mr. Ananth, this is Saktivel Rajan from ABS Quality Evaluation. I am working as a social compliance auditor.
Oh, very nice, very nice. Nice to meet you.
Nowadays, most of the export factories, they are coming for audit, social compliance audit,
Yes.
which is consists of 90% with respect to health and safety. So, as a director from health and safety, what is your advice to people like us to take care of during our exercise at the field?
See, actually, you are also you are a part of our team. So our focus is only to see that that atmosphere should be without any accident and it should be healthy. So in that angle, we just focus it. So just to find out the faults and issuing with all these non-compliance report, see all these things, that is one part. But try to have a system that let them establish a system which is free from accident and also healthy. That is my request to persons like you who are involved and you are also part of our voice team.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
So thank you very much because many people are continuously, they are raising the hands, but the time is very short. Sir has to complete and he has so many work. So thank you very much, sir. On behalf of industries and the National Safety Council of Tamil Nadu, we thank once again for your spending valuable time and preparing the explaining very simple and elaborated presentation. It's one of the very excellent presentations, sir. So thank you very much once again, sir. So
thank you very much, Rajmohan. Thanks for all the participants. Thank you.
So now the time for national anthem, sir.
जनगण मन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड उत्कल बंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्चल जलधि तरंगा तव शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभ आशीष मांगे गाहे तव जय गाथा जनगण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे।
So thank you very much, sir, once again. So
thank you.
So thank you very much for everyone for joining this program. This is the end of the program. Now I am closing the record and disconnect the program. Thank you very much. Thanks all.